Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Monday, January the 13th. The year's 2025. Let's talk trading. Weekly opening gap with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and different from Walmal's. And as always, have your risk management in place. Never lose more than you're willing to lose on any one single trade. And remember, let's have some brain management out there. So looking at the week, the dashboard tells us all the weekly open gaps have filled. Right now, the pound is 53 pips below the weekly open, 67 off the high, and 44 off the low. And here, if we look at the daily chart, we're putting in the opening range for the week. We are below the opening range for the month. And if we look at the monthly chart, you can see we are 369, now 370 pips below the monthly open for 37 off the high and 40 off the low. And think about it, we've only been had about 5 or 6 trading days this month, if I remember correctly. For the year, same as the month right now, since we're in January. We had an inside bar 6 days ago, and we're nowhere near that. And in fact, looking at the dashboard, we don't have that much inside bar action at the moment. Looks like everybody wants to run. Speaking of running, for the range today, 111 pips on the pound, 106 on dollar yen. I've been trading dollar yen along with the pound, starting to juggle. The beast, the pound yen, 268, leading the pack of range. So we've got a bunch of pairs over 100 pips today of range. Buy zone, price dropped out during the Asian session, hasn't come back on the pound. The rats have been feasting on the pound. You had a trigger down between 21.14 and 21.19 between the smart rats and the original rat. Definitely have large enough range. Bambino flex indicator said to go short. We haven't been close to the daily pivot. In fact, we bounced off of, or we actually crisscrossed S2 at 121.10 for the pivot traders. We miss the daily, we haven't hit the weekly, and we haven't hit the monthly yet. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week with the pound and the pivots. In and out of the previous day's lower wick zone, and we're well below it. Once again, today's range, 111. We broke out of the previous low by 93 pips so far. And looking at price action right now, we have a red M30. We have a red H4. So it looks like shorts are having a good time. And the M30 range has from, let's see, the last 11 bars have been above 17 pips. So it's a lot of price movement there. If you're happy just grabbing a few pips at a time. Let's see.
Yeah, I was noticing that as well. And I was noticing that as well. And on the H1, which is interesting, excluding this hour, we had 42, 33, 27, 28. And so those are really nice price moves within the hour as well.
Yeah, and also you can notice that we went from the psychological 25 all the way up to the 50. And actually, we went from the psychological double low all the way up to the 50 over the past, what, 2.5 hours or so. Speaking of half hours, we're 3 minutes away from the bottom of the hour. So that should be interesting. And looking at these price turn wick zones here, run through the charts. You can see we had turns up here at the 2143, which is in the launch pad. And looks like price wants to try and launch once again. I don't have any hopes or hold out any thoughts. You can see here on the monthly, we're in a price turn wick zone. So it'll be interesting if price turns or if it continues to drop. Walmal, you were telling me, I think when we first started talking, how long it's been since price has been this low on the pound.
Yeah, the last time it was down this low was October of 2023. So we're a year and a quarter or a year and a third away from this price. So it's kind of interesting that we've turned this this low. So and the thing that's interesting is that you would think, okay, well, the dollar must be getting stronger, or but the thing is, when you start looking at the other charts, the dollar is a little bit stronger, but not to the extent that it's stronger against the pound sterling. So that tells me that the pound sterling, it's the one that's really hurting. Not the dollar is all that much stronger. So something to pay attention to. Now you had done a chart a couple of years ago where you kind of mapped out in the past where the dollar likes to be in comparison to other other currencies during the year. And if I recall correctly, somewhere around March is where the dollar is the strongest against the pound. Then it turns and then starts running up, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's on the actually it's on the dollar time indicator I wrote that puts time up in the upper left hand. It says the pound typically forms a bottom in early to late March and then moves higher into the end of April. So
my guess is that, well, not my guess, but my question is this showing that it's happening a little bit earlier than normal? We're just a little bit ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's just something that it's an interesting thing. You can't make a trade out of it, but what you can do is keep it in the back of your mind, knowing that that's something that has happened in the past. You can't trade off the past, but what you can certainly do is be warned by the past.
Right. And looking at the range by month, we're 476 for January, so we're well above the low for range, which was last year at 118 for the month of January. So in 20 years, let's see. If we look in the year-to-date accumulated, it will be the same. Let's see, close minus open percent. We are down 2.96%. And for the ATR percent, we're at 123. So it's a big move on the pound here. And if we take a look here at the trade reminder, okay, we're below the previous month's wick zone. Seller strong control. We need to fade the pivot, and we've got a lower high, lower low on the monthly. For the weekly, below the lower wick zone, seller strong control. And we want to fade the pivot once again, a buy, lower high, lower low. And we look at the daily. We are below the previous day's wick zone, seller strong control. If you notice the pattern here, lower high, lower low, I think it's
Yeah.
trying to tell us something. And it looks like price wants to come up through the launch pad. We opened right at 4407, 121, 407. So anybody trading that open, H4 is also green now. There was a couple of pips to be had there. And now we're back to red. And back to green.
Yeah, the interesting, I'm just looking at an H4 right now, and man, it just, since somewhere around, good grief, the 7th of January, so that's the first week of trading, and it is just fell off the cliff.
Since January what, 7th you said?
Yeah. I mean, since January 7th, it's fallen. Oh, the current price,
Yeah.
430 cents. It's like, man, it just it rolled off a cliff, as they say.
Yeah. Hey, look at it. Price is 47. Oh, this is a bummer. Another launch pad without me. I'm moving up to the future pivot point here on the H4. Actually, it almost took out the lower pivot. It missed it by a pip on H4. Yeah, we got a, like you, what did you say, since the 7th, you said, or the 8th? Yeah.
7th, yeah.
Yeah, we got a bunch of missed pivots on H4 since then.
So the question is, does it go back and fill all those pivots? Historically, I say yes. You know, and that's what happens. The question is, do they get filled in the near term or the future term?
Right.
That's always the question. But, you know, I'm sure pivot traders are out there salivating, saying, look at all that. It's going to come back and fill those things. I just got to look for trade opportunities to be taking longs to go back up there.
Yeah, well, we've got 3 missed pivots so far this year. The 8th, the 9th, and today. And so the one on the 8th, we're 366 pips below it. So it might take a while to take out these pivots.
Right.
But, you know, I was looking at other people's charts and their forums and things, and I'm thinking about doing a video. It's like these people treat their charts like a Christmas tree. They keep hanging ornaments on it, and pretty soon you can't even see the tree. I mean, it's just, and the thing is, you can do whatever you want to the chart, but it doesn't affect the market. Somehow, I think people think if they put this indicator on it, or if they get the right settings for the MACD or the stochastics or RSI, it's magically going to do something to the market. It's just laughable.
I know we don't have much time to get into that, but I think people have this idea that, hey, I'm smarter than everybody else out there, and I can come up with this special conglomeration of different indicators that nobody else has ever thought of, and by throwing them on the chart in a certain way with certain colors, I can see where the market's going to go, and I'm going to be the big winner.
Yep, that's for true, but you know what? Maybe somebody will. Maybe somebody has. Because as I always say, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is TheRumpledOne, over and out.